The slap echoed through the coffee shop like thunder. Heads turned. Conversation stopped mid-word. A barista dropped a spoon. And Olivia Bennett stood frozen, her palms still stinging, staring at the man she'd just hit. He didn't move, didn't flinch, just blinked once, slow, like someone trying to process a language they'd never heard before. Olivia's voice cracked. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God, I thought you were..." The man held up a small piece of paper, a receipt. It had fallen from her bag when she bent down to grab her phone. He'd only been trying to return it. "You dropped this," he said quietly. His voice was calm, too calm, like someone who'd learned how to control every reaction years ago. Olivia's face burned red. Around them, whispers bloomed like wildfire. Did she just slap him? Who is that guy? Is someone filming this? She grabbed her bag, mumbled something that might have been an apology, and ran. Out the door, into the rain. Away from the single worst moment of her life. What she didn't see was the man standing there, still holding the receipt, watching her disappear into the crowd. What she didn't know was that in exactly 3 hours, she'd walk into the most important job interview of her life, and he'd be sitting across the desk. Before we continue, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and write in the comment section where you are watching from. Now let's continue. Olivia sat in her car for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, trying to calm her racing heart. Why did I do that? Why did I assume the worst? She'd been walking past him when his hand reached toward her back pocket. In that split second, every self-defense class she'd ever taken kicked in. Every news story about women being followed. Every warning her mother had ever given her. She'd reacted. Fast. Loud. Public. And she'd been completely, horribly wrong. Her phone buzzed. A calendar reminder. Job interview. Sterling Industries. 2 p.m. She looked at herself in the rearview mirror. Mascara slightly smudged. Hair damp from the rain. Face still flushed with shame. "Get it together, Liv," she whispered. "You can't let one mistake ruin everything." She started the car and drove toward downtown, where Sterling Industries' glass tower stood like a monument to everything she wanted to become. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that the man she'd slapped was already there, waiting. Let me tell you about Olivia Bennett. She was 28 years old, single, living in a studio apartment in Brooklyn that cost more than most people's mortgages. She worked as a temp, bouncing between companies, never staying long enough to matter, never leaving fast enough to forget. But Olivia had a plan. She'd always had a plan. Get a real job, build a career, prove to everyone, especially herself, that she was more than just another girl from Queens who barely scraped through community college. Sterling Industries was her shot, a tech company that designed security systems for airports, hospitals, government buildings. They needed an executive assistant, someone organized, someone smart, someone willing to work long hours for good pay and better opportunities. Olivia had sent her resume 3 times before they finally called her back. "We'd like to schedule an interview," the HR woman had said. "This Friday at 2 p.m. Don't be late." Olivia hadn't slept well all week. She'd practiced her answers, researched the company, bought a new blazer she couldn't afford. And then, 3 hours before the interview, she'd slapped a complete stranger in a coffee shop. Now let me tell you about the man she slapped. His name was Vincent Kane, 35 years old, CEO of Sterling Industries, self-made billionaire who'd built his company from a one-room office in Jersey City to a 40-story glass tower in Manhattan. Vincent didn't like attention, didn't do interviews, didn't post on social media. Most of his employees had never even seen his face, just his signature on their paychecks. He preferred it that way, quiet, controlled, invisible. That morning, he'd decided to do something he rarely did, leave his office, walk to the coffee shop 2 blocks away, buy his own coffee instead of having his assistant do it. He'd wanted to feel normal, just for 10 minutes. And then a woman with wild curls and fierce eyes had slapped him hard enough to make his ears ring. He could have been angry, could have called security, could have made her life very difficult. But he didn't, because in that moment, when she turned around with panic in her eyes, he'd seen something he recognized. Someone who'd been hurt before. Someone whose first instinct wasn't trust, it was survival. And that, more than anything, made him curious. So when he got back to his office and saw her name on the interview schedule, Olivia Bennett, 2 p.m., he didn't tell anyone what had happened. He just waited. Sterling Industries took up floors 35 through 40 of the Manhattan Tower. Olivia checked in at security, got her visitor badge, rode the elevator up with 3 other people who looked way more confident than she felt. The elevator dinged. Floor 38, executive offices. The doors opened to a world Olivia had only seen in movies. Glass walls, modern art, a receptionist who looked like she belonged on a magazine cover. "I'm here for an interview," Olivia said, trying to sound professional. Olivia Bennett, 2 p.m. The receptionist smiled. "Perfect teeth, perfect hair. Have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly." Olivia sat in a chair that probably cost more than her rent. She crossed her legs, uncrossed them, recrossed them. Her phone buzzed. A text from her roommate. "How's it going? Did you get the job yet?" Olivia typed back, "I'm in the waiting room. Send prayers. Or wine. Probably wine." 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Then 15. Olivia's confidence was starting to crack. Maybe they'd forgotten about her. Maybe this was a test to see how long she'd wait before leaving. Maybe. "Miss Bennett?" A woman in a black suit appeared, clipboard in hand, expression neutral. "Follow me, please." Olivia grabbed her bag and stood. Her legs felt wobbly. She followed the woman down a hallway lined with photos of the company's history, buildings, airports, government officials shaking hands with someone whose face was always just out of frame. They stopped at a door, room 4012. The woman knocked twice, then opened it. "Your 2 p.m. is here," she said to whoever was inside. "Send her in." That voice. Olivia's stomach dropped. She knew that voice. Calm, controlled. The same voice that had said, "You dropped this 3 hours ago in a coffee shop." No, 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 no. She stepped into the office, and there he was, sitting behind a desk made of dark wood and glass. The man from the coffee shop, the man she'd slapped. His face was expressionless, professional, but his eyes, there was something in his eyes. Not anger, not amusement, just awareness. He knew exactly who she was. "Ms. Bennett," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Please, sit down." Olivia's brain screamed at her to run, to apologize, to explain. But her body moved on autopilot. She sat, placed her resume folder on the desk with trembling hands. Vincent, though she didn't know his name yet, picked up the folder, opened it, scanned her resume like this was any other interview, like they'd never met before. "Impressive," he said. 3 years at Thompson Marketing, 2 at Riverside Tech. You've moved around quite a bit." Olivia forced herself to speak. "I was looking for the right fit, somewhere I could grow long-term. And you think Sterling Industries is that place?" "Yes." Her voice came out stronger than she expected. "Your company's reputation for innovation and security is unmatched. I want to be part of that." Vincent set down the resume, leaned back in his chair. "Tell me something, Miss Bennett. How do you handle high-pressure situations?" The question landed like a punch. Was he testing her? Mocking her? Or genuinely asking? "I stay calm," Olivia said carefully. I assess the situation, and I act based on the information I have, even if that information turns out to be wrong. There it was, the trap. He was talking about the coffee shop, about the slap, about her complete and total humiliation. Olivia took a breath. If I make a mistake, I own it. I apologize, and I do better next time. Vincent's expression didn't change. Do you? Yes. Then why didn't you apologize in the coffee shop? Silence filled the room. Heavy, thick, suffocating. Olivia could lie, could pretend she didn't know what he was talking about, but something in his eyes told her that wouldn't work. He'd see right through it. Because I panicked, she said finally. I thought you were trying to... I reacted based on fear, not facts. And I'm sorry, truly. If I could take it back, I would. Vincent studied her for a long moment. Then he did something she didn't expect. He smiled. Small, barely there, but real. You're hired, he said. Olivia blinked. What? The job. Executive assistant. It's yours if you want it. But I just slapped you. Continuing the story. But I just slapped you 3 hours ago. Vincent shrugged. And I probably should have announced myself better. We both made mistakes. The difference is you owned yours. Most people would have doubled down, blamed me, or pretended it never happened. He stood, extended his hand. Vincent Kane, CEO, and apparently your new boss. Olivia shook his hand, still in shock. I don't understand. You're actually offering me the job? I am. But there's a condition. Of course there is. What condition? You work directly with me for the first 3 months. Learn how this company operates from the inside. Prove you can handle the pressure. After that, if you're still interested, we'll make it permanent. Olivia's mind raced. This was everything she wanted. But working directly for the man she'd publicly humiliated? That felt like walking into a trap. Why me? She asked. You could hire anyone, someone with more experience, someone who didn't assault you. Vincent sat back down. Because everyone else who walked through that door today tried to tell me what I wanted to hear. You told me the truth, even when it hurt. That's rare and valuable. He paused. So what do you say, Miss Bennett? Do you want the job or not? Olivia looked at the man across from her, the billionaire CEO she'd slapped, the opportunity she'd dreamed about, the risk she wasn't sure she could afford to take. But then again, when had playing it safe ever gotten her anywhere? I'll take it, she said. Vincent smiled. Good. You start Monday, 7 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Olivia's first day at Sterling Industries was nothing like she expected. She arrived at 6:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. Better safe than sorry. The building was already buzzing with activity. People in suits, people with tablets, people who looked like they'd been awake for hours. Vincent's executive assistant, former executive assistant, met her at the elevator. Her name was Nora Chin. She was in her early 50s, with silver-streaked hair and the kind of calm efficiency that came from years of keeping powerful men organized. You must be Olivia, Nora said, shaking her hand. Welcome to Chaos Central. Is it always like this? This is a quiet day, Nora smiled. Come on, I'll show you your desk. Olivia's desk was directly outside Vincent's office. Glass walls, no privacy. Every move she made would be visible to him and everyone else on the floor. Great. No pressure. Nora walked her through the basics. How to use the phone system, how to access Vincent's calendar, how to filter emails, How to handle vendors who showed up unannounced, claiming they had meetings they absolutely did not have. Most importantly, Nora said, learn to read his mood. Vincent doesn't yell, he doesn't throw things, but when he goes quiet, that's when you know something's wrong. What do I do when that happens? Give him space. And coffee. Always coffee. At exactly 7 a.m., Vincent walked off the elevator. He didn't look at Olivia, didn't acknowledge her, just walked straight into his office and closed the door. Is he always like that? Olivia whispered. Every morning until 8, Nora confirmed. He reads reports, answers emails, prepares for the day. Don't interrupt him unless the building's on fire. Olivia nodded, sat down at her desk, opened Vincent's calendar on her computer. And that's when she saw it. Every single day from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., there was a blocked-off meeting labeled Personal, Do Not Disturb. But today, someone had double-booked him. A vendor meeting at 7:30 a.m. that shouldn't have been there. Olivia looked at the closed office door, then at the calendar, then at Nora, who was already halfway down the hall. She could ignore it. Let Vincent deal with it when the vendor showed up. Play it safe. Or she could do her job. Olivia stood, knocked on the office door, once, twice. No answer. She knocked again. Mr. Kane? I'm sorry to interrupt, but the door opened. Vincent stood there, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. His expression was unreadable. Yes? Your 7 a.m. block got double booked. There's a vendor meeting at 7:30. Do you want me to reschedule it? Vincent looked at her for a long moment. Then he glanced at his watch. Who's the vendor? TechCore Solutions. They're bringing contract proposals. Cancel it. Tell them we'll reschedule next week. Done. Olivia turned to leave. Ms. Bennett? She stopped. Yes? Thank you for checking. Something in his tone made her pause. It wasn't just gratitude. It was relief. Like he'd been testing her, and she'd passed without knowing it. Of course, Olivia said. That's what you hired me for. She closed the door and went back to her desk, made the call to TechCore, rescheduled the meeting, updated the calendar. When 8 a.m. came, Vincent emerged from his office, handed her a flash drive. I need these files printed and organized by 10 a.m. 3 copies, bound, no staples. Olivia took the flash drive. Consider it done. By 10 a.m., she had 3 perfectly bound reports sitting on his desk. By noon, she'd fielded 12 phone calls, rescheduled 2 meetings, and handled a minor crisis involving a caterer who'd gotten the wrong address for an investor luncheon. By 5 p.m., she was exhausted, but she'd survived. Vincent called her into his office as people started leaving for the day. Sit, he said, gesturing to the chair. Olivia sat, braced herself for criticism, for being told she'd messed something up. Instead, Vincent said, You did well today. Olivia blinked. Really? Most people need a week to adjust. You did it in a day. That's impressive. Thank you. Vincent leaned back in his chair. But I need to know something. Why did you really take this job? The question caught her off guard. What do you mean? You're smart, capable. You could work anywhere. So why here? Why Sterling Industries? And don't give me the rehearsed answer about innovation and security. Tell me the truth. Olivia hesitated, then decided once again that honesty was her only option with this man. Because I'm tired of being invisible, she said. I've spent years working temp jobs where nobody knows my name. Nobody cares if I stay or go. I want to matter. I want to build something, and I thought maybe, here, I could do that. Vincent nodded slowly. You slapped me because you thought I was a threat. You took this job because you thought it was an opportunity. Do you see the pattern? I act on instinct. You act on fear. Vincent's eyes were sharp but not unkind. You're so afraid of being hurt or failing or disappearing that you swing first and ask questions later. Olivia's chest tightened. Is this the part where you fire me? No. This is the part where I tell you that fear is useful. It keeps you alert, keeps you alive, but it also keeps you small. And you're not small, Miss Bennett. Don't let fear convince you otherwise. Olivia didn't know what to say, so she just nodded. Go home, Vincent said. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be harder. 3 weeks into the job, Olivia started noticing things. Little things. Strange things. Like how Vincent never took personal calls during work hours. How he never mentioned family, friends, or life outside the office. How his 7 a.m. do not disturb block was sacred. More sacred than board meetings or investor calls. One morning, Olivia arrived early, 6:30 a.m. She wanted to get a head start on a presentation Vincent needed by noon. When she stepped off the elevator, she saw light coming from his office. The door was cracked open, and she heard something she'd never heard before. Vincent was talking, but not on the phone, not to anyone physically there, just talking. Olivia knew she should leave, should respect his privacy, but curiosity got the better of her. She stepped closer, just close enough to hear. I know you'd be proud of her, Vincent was saying. His voice was soft, vulnerable, nothing like the controlled CEO she knew. She's tough. Reminds me of you, actually. Doesn't back down from anything. Silence. Then, I miss you. Every day. But especially in the mornings. This was always your favorite time, when the world was quiet. Olivia's heart clenched. He was talking to someone who wasn't there. Someone he'd lost. She backed away quietly, went to her desk, pretended she'd just arrived. At exactly 7 a.m., Vincent walked out of his office, saw her sitting there. You're here early, he said. Big presentation today. Wanted to get ahead. He nodded. Didn't ask how long she'd been there. Didn't acknowledge anything. But something shifted between them in that moment. A silent understanding. Later that week, Nora pulled Olivia aside during lunch. Can I give you some advice? Nora asked. Always. Vincent hired you for a reason, and it's not just because you're good at your job. Olivia frowned. What do you mean? Nora hesitated, then said, his wife died 3 years ago. Car accident. She used to work here. That's how they met. Every morning from 7 to 8, he talks to her. It's his way of coping. Olivia's stomach dropped. I didn't know. Most people don't. He keeps it private. But you need to understand something. Vincent doesn't let people in easily. The fact that he hired you, that he's mentoring you, means he sees something in you. Don't waste it. That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Vincent, about the man behind the CEO title, the widower who talked to ghosts every morning, the billionaire who'd built an empire but couldn't save the person who mattered most. She understood him now. The control, the distance, the walls. He wasn't afraid of being hurt. He was afraid of caring again and losing again. The next morning, Olivia did something she'd never done before. At 6:55 a.m., she made 2 cups of coffee. One for her, one for Vincent. At exactly 8 a.m. when his door opened, she was standing there with the second cup. Thought you might need this, she said simply. Vincent looked at the coffee, then at her. Something flickered in his eyes, surprise maybe, or gratitude. Thank you, he said, taking the cup. Of course. They stood there for a moment, not saying anything, just existing in the same space. Then Vincent said, her name was Eleanor, my wife. Everyone called her Ellie. Olivia didn't know what to say, so she just listened. She was the kindest person I've ever met, Vincent continued. Saw the good in everyone, even me. He smiled sadly. She used to make me coffee every morning, said it was the only way to make sure I actually drank it instead of letting it go cold. She sounds wonderful. She was. Vincent looked down at the coffee. You remind me of her sometimes. The way you don't back down. The way you tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Is that a good thing? It's the best thing. From that day forward, Olivia made Vincent coffee every morning at 8 a.m. It became their ritual, their unspoken understanding. And slowly, carefully, the walls started coming down. 2 months into the job, everything changed. It started with a phone call. Early morning, 6:45 a.m. Olivia was at her desk when Vincent's personal line rang, the one that bypassed her entirely. She heard his voice through the glass walls, sharp, tense. When did this happen? I see. No, cancel everything today. I'll handle it personally. He hung up, sat in silence for exactly 10 seconds, then stood, grabbed his coat, and walked out. I'll be gone for the day, he said without stopping. Handle whatever comes up. Wait, where are you? But he was already in the elevator, gone. Olivia stared at the empty office. This wasn't like Vincent. He never left without instructions, never canceled a full day without explanation. Something was wrong, really wrong. She pulled up his calendar. Today was October 14th. She scrolled back through previous years. October 14th, 3 years ago. Blocked. Personal. The day Eleanor died. Olivia's chest tightened. She should leave it alone, respect his privacy, let him grieve in peace. But something Nora had said weeks ago echoed in her mind. Vincent doesn't let people in easily. Don't waste it. Olivia grabbed her phone, texted Vincent. If you need anything, I'm here. No response. The day dragged. Calls came in. Meetings needed rescheduling. A board member showed up demanding to speak with Vincent immediately. He's unavailable, Olivia said firmly. I can schedule you for tomorrow. This can't wait until tomorrow. Then it'll have to wait until he's available. That's the best I can offer. The board member stormed off, muttering about incompetent assistants. Olivia didn't care. She protected Vincent's day like Nora had taught her, like Eleanor probably would have. At 7 p.m., her phone buzzed. A text from Vincent. Riverside Cemetery, if you're still offering. Olivia didn't hesitate. She grabbed her coat and left. Riverside Cemetery was quiet, peaceful. Rows of headstones stretched across green hills. Olivia found Vincent sitting on a bench near a grave marked with fresh flowers. Eleanor Kane, beloved wife, 1990 to 2022. She saw light in everyone. Olivia sat down next to him, didn't say anything, just sat. I come here every year, Vincent said after a while. On the day she died, I talk to her, tell her about the company, about life, about... He trailed off. About how much you miss her, Olivia finished quietly. Yeah. They sat in silence for a long moment. The sun was setting, orange and pink streaked across the sky. I told her about you, Vincent said suddenly. Olivia looked at him, surprised. You did? About how you slapped me. He smiled slightly. She would have found that hilarious. I'm still sorry about that. I know, but here's the thing. Eleanor always said I needed someone who wouldn't be afraid of me, someone who'd push back, challenge me. He looked at Olivia. You do that, not because you're trying to impress me, but because it's who you are. Is that why you really hired me? Partly, but mostly because when I saw you panic after the slap, I saw something I recognized. Someone who'd been hurt before, someone who'd learned to protect themselves first and ask questions later. He paused. Eleanor was like that when we met. Took her 2 years to trust me. And when she finally did, she changed my life. Olivia's throat felt tight. I'm not her. I know, you're you, and that's enough. They sat until the sun fully set, until the cemetery gates announced they'd be closing soon. Then Vincent stood, offered Olivia his hand. "Thank you," he said, "for coming, for caring, for not treating me like I'm made of glass." Olivia took his hand, let him pull her up. "That's what friends do, right?" Vincent smiled, a real smile this time. "Friends, I like that." As they walked back to their cars, Olivia realized something had shifted. This wasn't just boss and assistant anymore. This was something deeper, something real. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't a bad thing. The 3-month trial period ended on a Tuesday. Vincent called Olivia into his office at the end of the day. She sat across from him, heart pounding, wondering if this was goodbye. "Your trial period is over," Vincent said, hands folded on his desk, "which means it's time to make a decision." "Okay." "I can offer you the full-time position, executive assistant, benefits, salary increase, the works. Or," he paused, "I can offer you something else." Olivia frowned. "What else?" "Director of Operations. It's a new position. You'd oversee all department coordination, work with division heads, report directly to me, but have your own team." Olivia's mouth fell open. That's a huge promotion." "You've earned it. You've proven you can handle pressure, think strategically, lead when needed. The question is, what do you want?" What did she want? 3 months ago, the answer would have been simple. Security, a steady job, a paycheck, somewhere she could finally belong. But now? "I want the challenge," Olivia said. "I want to build something, make an impact. So yes, I'll take Director of Operations." Vincent smiled. "Good. You start next week. But there's one condition." "Another condition?" "You have to stop making me coffee every morning." Olivia laughed. "Why?" "Because directors don't serve coffee. They drink it while other people serve it." He stood, extended his hand. "Congratulations, Director Bennett." Olivia shook his hand, grinning like an idiot. "Thank you for taking a chance on me." "You took a chance on yourself. I just gave you the platform." 6 months later, Olivia stood in front of the entire Sterling Industries staff at the annual company meeting. She was presenting the new operational efficiency program she'd designed, one that would save the company millions and improve employee satisfaction. Her hands weren't shaking. Her voice was steady. She wasn't the scared temp from Queens anymore. She was Director Olivia Bennett, and she belonged here. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Vincent stood in the back, arms crossed, watching with something that looked like pride. After the meeting, he caught up with her in the hallway. "That was impressive," he said. "Thank you. I learned from the best." "I'm serious, Olivia. You've transformed this company in 6 months. Departments that haven't communicated in years are suddenly working together. Employee retention is up 40%. You did that." Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. "I had help. You had a vision. There's a difference." Vincent hesitated, then said, "Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure. Are you happy here? Really happy? Or are you still waiting for the other shoe to drop?" Olivia thought about it, honestly thought about it. "I'm happy," she said finally. "For the first time in my life, I'm not just surviving. I'm building something I'm proud of. And I have people who believe in me." She looked at Vincent. "Starting with you." Vincent smiled. "Good, because I'd hate to lose you to a competitor." "Not a chance. You're stuck with me." "I can live with that." 1 year after the slap heard round the coffee shop, Olivia sat at her new desk, Corner office, glass walls, her name on the door. She had a team of 12 reporting to her, 3 major projects in development, and respect from people who'd once looked right through her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Vincent. Coffee? My treat this time. Olivia smiled, texted back. Only if you're buying lunch too. Deal. Meet me downstairs in 10. They went to the same coffee shop where it all started. The scene of the crime, as Olivia called it. The barista recognized them now, always had their orders ready. Large black coffee and a cappuccino, the barista said, handing over the cups. You two are here every Friday. Tradition, Vincent explained, paying. They sat at a corner table, the same table where Olivia had panicked a year ago, where she'd made the worst and best mistake of her life. Do you ever think about that day? Olivia asked. When I slapped you? All the time, Vincent admitted. It's actually one of my favorite memories. You're insane. Maybe, but think about it. If you hadn't slapped me, you never would have come to that interview convinced you'd already ruined everything. You never would have been brutally honest. I never would have seen past the resume to the person. We never would have ended up here. Olivia stirred her cappuccino. You're saying I should assault more people? I'm saying sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. You just have to be brave enough to keep going. When did you get so philosophical? I've always been philosophical. You just never asked. Vincent leaned back. So what's next for Director Bennett? World domination? Close. I'm thinking VP of Operations by year 3, CFO by year 5, and then, she grinned, who knows? Maybe I'll start my own company and become my competition? Would that bother you? Vincent laughed. Actually, I'd be proud. It would mean I taught you well. They sat and talked until their coffee went cold. About work, about life, about Eleanor and how she'd love seeing what Olivia had become. About the future and all its uncertain possibilities. When they finally stood to leave, Olivia noticed something. The barista who'd served them was watching with a knowing smile. What? Olivia asked. Nothing, the barista said. You two you're good together. That's all. Olivia felt her face flush. Oh, we're just friends, Vincent finished smoothly. Close friends. The barista winked. Sure, whatever you say. Outside, Olivia turned to Vincent. People think we're dating. People think a lot of things. Doesn't make them true. Doesn't make them false either. Vincent stopped walking, looked at her. Really looked at her. Olivia. I'm not saying anything has to change, she said quickly. I'm just saying, if it did, I wouldn't hate that. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Eleanor told me, before she died, that I shouldn't stop living when she was gone, that I should find someone who challenges me, makes me better, makes me want to be more than just a CEO hiding in his office. What are you saying? I'm saying you're right. If things changed, I wouldn't hate that either. They stood on that busy Manhattan sidewalk, people rushing past, horns honking, the city roaring around them. And for the first time since that terrible, wonderful day in the coffee shop, Olivia felt like everything, all the mistakes, all the fear, all the risk had been worth it. Because she'd found more than a job, more than a mentor, more than a second chance. She'd found exactly where she was supposed to be. 2 years after the slap, Olivia stood in Vincent's office, the same office where she'd sat terrified during her interview, except now it wasn't his office anymore. It was hers. Vincent had stepped down as CEO 6 months ago, not because he wanted to retire, but because he wanted to build something new, a foundation in Eleanor's name that helped women in tech, that gave scholarships, that created opportunities for people like Olivia who just needed someone to believe in them. And he'd recommended Olivia to take his place as CEO. The board had been skeptical. She was young, unproven, only 2 years out of temp work. But Vincent had fought for her, and the numbers spoke for themselves. Under Olivia's operational leadership, Sterling Industries had doubled revenue, expanded into 3 new markets, and became one of the best places to work in New York. So they'd voted, unanimously, Olivia Bennett, CEO. Now she sat at the desk where Vincent used to sit, looking out at the Manhattan skyline, wondering if Eleanor was somewhere watching, proud, happy, knowing her legacy lived on. A knock on the door. Vincent walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said, handing her one. Olivia laughed. "Full circle, huh?" Something like that. Vincent sat across from her, in the chair she used to sit in. "How does it feel, first day as CEO?" "Terrifying, exhilarating, like I'm about to throw up and also run a marathon." "That's normal." Eleanor felt the same way when she got promoted to COO. Said the first day felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. What did she do? She jumped and built wings on the way down. Olivia smiled. "I like that." Vincent stood to leave, then paused. "One more thing. There's a young woman coming in for an interview today. Executive assistant position. Her resume is rough. Barely any experience. She's scared and probably thinks she doesn't belong here." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you reminded me of her, 3 years ago. Scared but defiant. Convinced the world was against her but refusing to quit." Vincent smiled. "Give her a chance. You never know what might happen." After he left, Olivia looked at the resume on her desk. Zara Thompson, 24. Previous experience, temp work, retail, freelance writing. Olivia knew that story. She'd lived that story. At 2 p.m., Zara Thompson walked into her office, nervous, fidgeting with her sleeve, eyes darting around like she expected security to throw her out any second. "Have a seat," Olivia said gently. Zara sat, placed her resume on the desk with shaking hands. Olivia picked it up, scanned it. "Tell me something, Miss Thompson. Why do you want this job?" Zara took a breath. "Because I'm tired of being invisible. I want to matter. I want to build something. And I think maybe, here, I could do that." Olivia smiled. She'd said almost exactly the same words 3 years ago. "Tell me about a time you made a mistake," Olivia said. "A big one." Zara hesitated. "Last month, I was working at a retail store. A customer was yelling at my manager. I thought he was being aggressive, so I called security. Turns out, he was actually her husband, and they'd been joking around. I was so embarrassed, I quit the next day." "Why did you quit?" "Because I couldn't face going back after making such a huge mistake." Olivia leaned back in her chair. "What if I told you that mistakes aren't endings? They're beginnings, opportunities to learn, to prove you can bounce back." "I'd say that sounds good in theory." "Let me tell you a story," Olivia said. 3 years ago, I slapped my future boss in a coffee shop. Thought he was a creep. Turned out, he was the CEO interviewing me later that day." Zara's eyes went wide. "What happened?" "He hired me anyway, because I owned my mistake, apologized, and showed up ready to work." Olivia smiled. "Now I'm sitting in his chair as CEO, all because I didn't let one mistake define me." "So, are you saying—" "I'm saying you're hired, Miss Thompson, if you want the job." Zara's hands flew to her mouth. "Seriously?" "Seriously. You start Monday, 7 a.m. Don't be late." After Zara left, practically floating out of the office, Olivia pulled out her phone, texted Vincent. "Just hired your diamond in the rough. She reminds me of someone." Vincent texted back. "Wonder who that could be. Dinner tonight to celebrate?" Olivia smiled, texted. Your place or mine? Yours. I'll cook. You can't cook. I'll order takeout and pretend I cooked. Close enough. Olivia laughed out loud in her office at the top of Sterling Industries in the life she'd built from absolutely nothing. That evening, Vincent showed up at her apartment with Thai food and a bottle of wine. They sat on her couch, the same couch she'd had since her temp days, too sentimental to replace, and talked about everything and nothing. "Do you think Eleanor would be proud?" Olivia asked. "Of what we've built?" "I know she would," Vincent said. "She always believed people deserved second chances, third chances, as many chances as it took. Is that what we are? Each other's second chances?" Vincent turned to look at her. "I think we're each other's right choice, finally." Olivia set down her wine. "Vincent Kane, are you saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm saying that 3 years ago you slapped me in a coffee shop, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it brought you into my life, and I don't want to waste another day pretending we're just friends. If you don't want to waste another day either." Olivia's heart raced. This was it, the moment where everything could change. Again. "I don't want to waste another day," she whispered. Vincent smiled, leaned forward, and kissed her. It was soft, gentle, perfect. When they pulled apart, Olivia laughed. "So, we're really doing this? Dating? While I'm CEO and you're starting a foundation? We've done harder things." Fair point. They spent the rest of the evening talking about the future, about the foundation, about Zara and other people they could help, about maybe, someday, building a life together that would make Eleanor proud. And as Olivia fell asleep that night, Vincent's arm around her, she thought about how far she'd come. From the scared temp who'd panicked and slapped a stranger, to the CEO who was building an empire and changing lives, all because she'd been brave enough to own her mistakes, to keep showing up, to believe she deserved a seat at the table, and maybe most importantly, to slap a billionaire and somehow turn it into the opportunity of a lifetime. If Olivia and Vincent's story of turning a disaster into destiny moved you, subscribe to Bimsy Stories now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another story about second chances, unlikely love, and proving everyone wrong. Drop a comment. Have you ever made a mistake that turned into a blessing? Share this with someone who needs hope. Click the next video. Your next favorite story is waiting.